If I could give my younger self some advice, it would probably be to not worry about what other people think of you. A lot of my life, up until I kind of started branching out on the social media thing, I was always terrified of judgment from others, and I would kind of hold back from doing things strictly because I didn't know what others would think about it. And I kind of lived my life in a way that I wanted to just please everyone around me type of thing. So once I finally realized to live life for me and do what I wanted to do without the fear of judgment, that was when things really changed, and that was when I really started to find myself and do what I loved and create this life that I love. I would just tell my younger self to not worry about other people's judgment and just do what you want to do, because it is your life. And the one thing that I am most scared of in this life is looking back with regret and not doing something that I wanted to do just because I was worried what other people would think. My name is Paige Reilly. I'm an IFBB pro, an online coach, and a balance leader. Ready? Let's see if you'll do it. So I'm from Del Mar, New York. It is kind of like a small town in upstate New York. Growing up, I kind of played every sport that there was, but I only really did it for one season or a few games. I never really stuck to anything. My parents were kind of into fitness. My dad would go to the gym sometimes, but it was never like a huge thing. Same thing with my mom. Who I was in college, I don't really think I knew exactly what I wanted. I didn't have any like real passion for anything, didn't play sports, didn't do any of that. So I just feel like I didn't know exactly what I wanted or who I was really, or like what I was here for type of thing. I almost put myself into a shell and into a box and just was totally content with being alone, which, like I said, is kind of to a fault. Around the end of freshman year, I ended up meeting Anthony, who is now my current boyfriend of almost 7 years. And he is the complete opposite of me. He is very outgoing, very friendly, and he was kind of what made me come out of my shell more, because he was like on the lacrosse team, went to, had all these friends, went to all these parties, and it kind of made me want to branch out and be more social and make my own friends and like kind of realize the beauty of doing all of that and not just staying to myself. At the end of 2015, I ended up moving to Long Island and staying at Anthony's house with his family, and that was kind of where we had a little lull in our fitness journey and just kind of like everything. Since we didn't have our own kitchen or anything like that, nutrition was not even a thing. And we didn't do much training at all. It was kind of when we moved to a new apartment in Massapequa, which is also on Long Island. That was our own place, and we kind of were like, all right, we need to get it together. We need to like figure out what we're doing, kind of get ourselves back to like a healthy lifestyle. At that point was when we signed up for a gym, just a random gym in our town, and I ended up meeting a trainer there who became my coach for bodybuilding, so it kind of like all stemmed from there. So I feel like I had a mental shift at some point, and I don't know what caused it, of going from wanting to be as small and as skinny and thin as possible to actually really embracing being strong. And I think that's kind of where my love for bodybuilding and lifting in general came from. I don't even think it was so much about the look, it was just like feeling strong. My trainer originally had told me, like the first few sessions that we had, have you ever thought about competing? You have the physique for it, you would be really amazing at it. And I always was like, no way, I could never. We ended up doing a cut for like some photo shoot. I just wanted to do it for fun. And that was kind of when nutrition really got introduced, and I started tracking macros, and I really started to kind of understand all of that and really understood how doable it was, I guess. Kind of cutting down for my first photo shoot, I was like, wow, like that wasn't that bad. I think I really could actually do this. So I ended up doing my first prep, which actually went really well. I didn't struggle much at all with it. I feel like personally I thrive in like that struggle environment almost. Like I feel like I just perform better. So it went well, took first at my first show, which was kind of like a, oh wow, I really can do this type of thing. So then I decided I'm gonna go on to do nationals. I believe it was like 3 months later. It ended up, I took essentially last place at this national show. It was a big, I guess, wake-up call to going from first place to essentially last. And it honestly lit my fire so much because obviously I had only done one show before and I won. So I only knew kind of how it felt to like win. And so learning kind of how to lose and how it felt to lose and use that as fuel to kind of move forward and just get better and not be a sore loser, because that's like the worst thing you can be in this sport. That was one of the biggest lessons. I think that built me as a person too and kind of turned me into the competitor that I am, and the way that I deal with losses now. I feel like that was kind of where it all stemmed from. I believe it was like December, I reached out to my current coach Paul and we started working together and kind of built a plan of attack for this next season, because I knew I wanted to kind of make a comeback and just like do way better than I had done at my previous show. So the first show I did in 2018 was California State Championships. So that was a regional show, which I had to do again in order to qualify for nationals. So I did that show. I went in with the hopes of winning first in my class and also taking the overall. I didn't really voice that goal because up until that point, I got kind of nervous to share my goals publicly because I felt maybe I would be embarrassed if they didn't happen. And we went into the show and I took first and I won the overall. And that was probably one of the best feelings that I ever could have, going from losing my show before that to now setting a new goal, going in and accomplishing it. So from there, now I'm nationally qualified. The goal from there is to go pro. Ended up going to USA's, took first in my class, which was just like the craziest thing to go from that exact same show last year, just totally losing, to now winning at that show a full year later. That was another one of just the best feelings in the world. At that point, my confidence was definitely very high, but not to a fault. I just knew that personally within myself, if I wanted to do something, like I knew I could put in the work to do it. That was kind of like the biggest thing that I had gone out and achieved, and it was just something that we had been talking about for a couple years now at this point, and it finally happened. After that show, now my social media has kind of grown pretty rapidly. A lot of people like to watch people prep. I'm not really sure why, but I guess maybe it's just motivating to other people to watch you do this hard thing. So my social media was definitely growing pretty quickly, and also at that point I had kind of realized that I could make an income through this. Once I kind of got requests for making guides and stuff like that and doing coaching, that was like all from the people who follow me, which is really cool because they kind of like encouraged me to do that. So the reason we came to Denver was actually that Anthony was going to work in Balance HQ. So he was kind of the main reason why we ended up coming to Denver, and along with him working at HQ, Taylor and Chloe had offered me a leader position, which I was extremely honored that they were interested in having me as part of the team. I have known Taylor for a few years, just being like in the industry, and I've always really looked up to her and thought she was a sweet girl, and I've always supported Balance from the start, and I just think that the clothes are incredible, and I was definitely very excited and very honored when they invited me to be a part of it. Being here now, it all feels right, and we got to have little Juice now, our new puppy, and both of us just couldn't be happier. I feel like everything just worked out so perfectly, and this is kind of where we're supposed to be, so I feel like it's just, I don't know, things are really good.